Hello. The film In Nacht und Eis, or English translation In Night and Ice, was released in 1912. Other titles for it is The Sinking of the Titanic and Shipwrecked in Icebergs. It premiered actually in August of 1912. Now, in 1912 there was another Titanic film titled Saved from the Titanic. This film was more popular than In Nacht und Eis because of the fact that Dorothy Gibson was in the film. She was actually a Titanic survivor. So, it kind of pushed this one out of the limelight, especially since with this film, when it did premiere, it scared a lot of people because of the fact that they thought it was actual footage. When I watched the film, the filming, the cinematography, I could see where people were afraid of it and thinking that it was actual footage and everything. But where it was filmed was in a glasshouse studio. In a glasshouse studio in the rear courtyard of the offices at 123 Chausseestrasse in Berlin, I believe. You can correct me if I'm wrong, of course. And I'm sorry if I say that wrong. Some footage was also shot in Hamburg, and some possibly done aboard a German ocean liner, the SS Kaiserin Auguste Victoria. I will, of course, put all of this in the description below for you as well. I do apologize for saying any of that wrong. And at the time in 1912, that particular ocean liner was docked in Hamburg. The cafe scenes were filmed in the vessel, so in the ocean liner's winter garden. The Berlin Fire Department also provided water to use for the sinking scenes. Now, one thing that I read, apparently this, and it could have been for the other 1912 film, so it could have been crossed, and I will make sure to check that out and correct myself in the description. Apparently, with this film, there a lot of the shots for the sinking, when it showed the actual sinking ship, it was in a bathtub. And so I found that very interesting, considering that James Cameron's it's in a swimming pool. So and now one thing is that this is a 35-minute film, which at the time, that's like 3 times longer than a film for 1912. And there are a lot of tinted scenes, and it's saying that it's to heighten their impact. And so there's the night scenes are in dark blue, and the shot with the stoker feeding the burner, that's in red. And so which the stoker scene, for as short as it is, it's very impacting. It makes you realize that they did remember them, these particular men, and which I was glad to see. And they also made reference to one of the particular. You have to understand that this was so new. I mean, it was only just a few months, and there was the Allison family, And so this film makes reference to that family. If you're not familiar with that particular family, the nanny took the child, baby Trevor, and left. And the mother was so distraught. She was not going to leave the boat was not going to leave the Titanic ship without her baby boy, not realizing that the nanny had taken it, was in the lifeboat and safe. And so the rest of the family perished while the nanny and baby Trevor survived. So, yeah, it was mother, father, and the little girl. Very sad story, and one of the saddest. And it makes you a little angry too, because it was like she used the little boy to, yeah, it gets me worked up every time I hear it. And so now one of the things that I find very interesting about this movie is when they're on, like, early in the film, it shows them playing games on the ship and on the on on deck, and I've never seen these games played before. Like anywhere else, there's like a bottle game and a rope game and everything else, and I'm very curious as to what these games are, and I haven't been able to find them, and so, but they look like a lot of fun. Maybe I'm just weird, but I think that they are. Um, yeah, I think that they look like a lot of fun, and but I appreciate that they're there because it takes us back to some of the games that were played back then. I feel like that's one thing that is lost, and but it's there now. Now this film was thought to be lost until 1998. There was a newspaper article that mentioned this film, and this gentleman by the name of Horst Lang informed the newspaper that he had a print. Just, he had it. And there's a documentary titled Beyond the Titanic, and this film is seen in that particular documentary. And so I don't think I've ever seen that particular documentary, but that doesn't mean anything. I may have seen it and just not know it. I've seen so many. So anyway, this particular film was released in 1912. It did scare people because of the footage that it was, and especially with the Allison family linked to it, I can see where people would be very um, terrified. I mean, this was only just a few months. This was released in August of that year. It premiered in August. So yeah, I can see. I mean, it was still fresh and everything. So, but and so that's probably another reason why it kind of dropped out of the spotlight and everything and was hidden. And but anyway, and then of course with Saved from the Titanic, and you have a Titanic survivor in there in the film and everything, yeah, it would push this one out. So anyway, this is in Nacht on Ice. It's a German film released in 1912.